Hello and welcome back to the Eyes of O Gaming channel. Thank you for joining me as we investigate another older game in the What Is It and Is It Worth It game review and showcase series. During the review, I will try my best to stay objective and as spoiler-free as possible as we go over the various aspects of the game, such as mechanics, graphics, and sound, as well as giving a general idea of the world the game takes place in. I won't be giving a number rating to the game as I find number rating systems to be very arbitrary considering the subjective nature of video games. Instead, I'll try my best to give enough information that you can decide for yourself if the game is worth it for you. If you are interested in a more subjective look, stay to the end of the video for my personal recommendation of if I would recommend the game, and if I actually enjoyed it with a simple yes, no, or sometimes a maybe, and a short explanation of why or why not. Ever wanted to lead your own prehistoric tribe in an untamed land? Your wish is granted in Cry Primal, a game developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft. The game came out in 2016, so it has some years on it now. Today we're going to take a look at the various aspects of the game, going over the mechanics, graphics, sound, as well as other features, and see how it is held up, while attempting to answer the most important question asked in this game review series: is this game worth it for you? Let's find out together. So what even is this game? Well, the short answer is it's a Far Cry game, and obvious Far Cry elements will be present as you play through. The main thing separating this from other Far Cry releases is the time period it takes place in. In Far Cry Primal, you take control of Takar as he leads his Wenja tribe in a 10,000 BC setting. The open world map it takes place in is the fictional valley called Oros, which is loosely based on a location somewhere in Central Europe. Being that the time period is in around 10,000 BC, expect plants and animals of the period such as the now extinct woolly mammoth and saber-toothed cat, among many others. Playing as Takar, you will need to lead your tribe as they compete with other rival tribes who will aggressively try to wipe out Takar's Wenja people. This will see players essentially fighting a campaign against the rival tribes through a series of typical Far Cry-esque missions and gameplay. So what are the mechanics like in a game set in 10,000 BC? Well, surprisingly similar to other Far Cry games taking place in the modern world. Obviously with the lack of firearms and vehicles. Weapons will be primitive, so mostly clubs, spears, and bows. However, as the bow is featured prominently in other Far Cry titles, this might not seem too dissimilar. Aside from that, you have an open world to explore and unlock areas of, claiming zones in the form of bonfires, crafting weapons and upgrades, and unlocking various skills. Again, a lot of the core features will feel very similar if you've previously played a Far Cry game. However, there is enough of a unique spin on it that it will feel distinct in its own way. Gameplay will take place in first person and everything works pretty smoothly as is typical of other Far Cry games. Graphics still hold up pretty well and are solid all around. The unique setting means that you'll be treated with environments that haven't really been explored in other games, and the map contains a few different biomes which adds some much appreciated diversity during exploration. NPCs look good, and enemies have distinct features from your own tribe's people. The enemies belonging to specific tribes do pretty much all look the same though, so there is some repetition in that respect. There are a decent number of animals which will give some variety and offer unique challenges when encountering them. There is limited base building featured in the game, but it's not too complex or fleshed out. Basically just upgrading specific tents in the village. Instead of binoculars, you do have access to an owl for scouting enemy locations. Another interesting feature in the game are the characters, which will join your tribe as you progress. This will happen automatically as you get to specific story sequences in the main campaign, but will also offer ways to improve your skills or unlock new abilities. Aside from this, the game will follow a very similar approach to other Far Cry games, allowing exploration in an open world environment, side quests, and a main campaign, all told by accepting missions from other characters present in the game. Sound is done pretty well in the game. As with most Far Cry games, sound is usually of pretty high quality. One of the unique aspects of this game is the dialogue will be delivered in the languages of the tribes, meaning you will need to read subtitles to get the full story of what's going on. Apparently, some people really didn't like this feature in the game. However, personally, I thought it was one thing that set this apart from others and gave it a unique flavor, adding a unique level of immersiveness not found in other games.
Guarsta takar, nusa putilai baram.
Smarkak. Winja Santayam, Amaliti Waida, Mana Appaguam, Umasha. Winja Su Yauda.
For games to compare this one to, well, obviously we have other Far Cry games. This one is a spin-off from the main series and sits between Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4. It does have some features such as climbing more similar to Far Cry 4 and later. Maybe surprisingly, I found that the Far Cry that gave me the most similar vibes was Far Cry New Dawn. And actually, these two feel probably the most unique in their presentation from other Far Cry games. Aside from other games in the franchise, you can draw some comparison with games like Dying Light for the first-person action, open world, and story campaign delivered by interacting with characters. However, the settings will obviously be very different from each other. So now that we've looked at some of the features of the game, we reach the point of my review where I give a more subjective look at my personal experience with it. Please keep in mind that the following is just my opinion of the game, and if the features and genre seem interesting to you, you should definitely check it out for yourself, as not all games are for all gamers. The game that you hate might be the next gamer's all-time favorite, which is one of the things that I love about gaming. There's always something for someone out there. So did I enjoy Far Cry Primal, and do I recommend it?
Yep.
Yes, very much. This Far Cry was a real pleasure to play through and was released prior to Ubisoft releasing what feels essentially like reskins of their games. It has a unique setting and style and feels like they weren't afraid to try some things that were a little bit different in this one. Clearly there is a common Far Cry feel, and the overall story is essentially just the Far Cry format of leading one side in a struggle for control of a map, taking on a seemingly evil character that the game will try to humanize and push you to empathize with as you progress. That said, the general presentation is far enough away from the standard cookie-cutter style that it feels unique and genuinely fun to explore the land. There are friendly Wenja who have been taken prisoner that you'll come across as you play through, and I found that I would go out of my way in an attempt to free them, whereas in many of the more modern Far Cry games, I tend not to connect or feel much for the friendly NPCs. In this go-around, I actually felt driven to try to improve my village and help out my fellow Wenja whenever possible. So I hope you enjoyed this look at Far Cry Primal. Have you already played through this one? What were your own thoughts on the game? Did you agree or disagree with my own assessment of it? If you disagreed, let me know why. Maybe there's something I didn't think of and you can convince me. I'd love to hear about your own experiences down in the comments, or if my review showcase was helpful, I'd like to know if you decided to go ahead with it or not. Either way, if you found this video interesting or entertaining, please let me know with a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing to the channel. I make and upload a variety of gaming content, not just reviews like this, but also walkthroughs, mod showcases, let's play, and more. And I'd love to have you join the community and help direct the future of the channel. Otherwise, thank you so much for taking the time to watch today, and until next time, take care.